The 19th ASEAN and East Asia Summit has been concluded in Nusa Dua, Bali, Indonesia. Now let's take a look at the roundup of this event, starting with the achievements that have been established by ASEAN. First off, the concrete measures to strengthen the three pillars of ASEAN community. To strengthen ASEAN transformation, to turn it from a mere association into a more cohesive and collaborative community that is in line with the vision of ASEAN community in 2015. And then also to ensure a balanced progress among the three pillars under the blueprint of ASEAN community in a consistent and complementary manner. The 19th ASEAN Summit have agreed upon a number of important instruments to strengthen the pillars of ASEAN community, which includes the establishment of ASEAN Institute for Peace and Reconciliation, agreement on ASEAN Framework or Equitable Economic Development, guiding principles for inclusive and sustainable growth, and ASEAN Framework for Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Second, strengthening the regional economic growth. Indonesia continues to promote joint measures to strengthen the regional economic growth, which includes Indonesia has ensured that ASEAN architecture for economic integration and cooperation is effective in maintaining the economic growth of ASEAN member states. Indonesia also continuously promote the implementation of the Master Plan on ASEAN connectivity to support intra-ASEAN trade cooperation. Third, to assume a pivotal role in building a more efficient and effective architecture for regional cooperation. EAS as a primary forum to discuss strategic issues in the region, the recognition from the leaders on ASEAN's centrality in building East Asia regional architecture. Fourth, to maintain Southeast Asia regional stability and security. The region is still facing a number of challenges. So during the Indonesia's chairmanship, ASEAN has been able to manage conflict through dialogue mechanism. First issue is the issue of Thailand, Cambodia, and then the issue of South China Sea. Also to create a conducive environment to recommend the six-party talks. Significant progress in SEANWFZ. And maritime issues in ASEAN Maritime Forum, also known as the AMF. Fifth is to strengthening the role of ASEAN globally. The role of ASEAN is greater in addressing global issues. The adoption of Bali Declaration Third on ASEAN community in a global community of nations. And the achievement of comprehensive partnership between ASEAN and the UN. Sixth, the joint efforts to strengthen the economy East Asia. The East Asia Summit to agree on the declaration of the 6th East Asia Summit on ASEAN connectivity, to turn ASEAN connectivity into an important part of EAS cooperation. EAS Summit in Bali has agreed on the declaration of the 6th East Asia Summit on ASEAN connectivity. Seventh, joint efforts to develop platform and real action to address food, water, and energy security as well as climate change. ASEAN cooperation, including the implementation of ASEAN plus 3 emergency rice reserves, also known as APTER scheme, acceleration of realization of ASEAN Power Grid and ASEAN Action Plan for Energy Cooperation, also known as APAEC. And last, ASEAN's commitment to continually engage in a discussion of climate change at various forums. 8. Joint efforts to address non-traditional security challenges, including natural disasters, terrorism, and transnational crimes. Launching and utilizing ASEAN Coordinating Center for Humanitarian Assistance on Disaster Management, also known as AHA Center. Implementation of ASEAN Convention on Counterterrorism, then ASEAN Plan of Action to combat transnational crime. Achieving the commitment to develop a mechanism for handling the problem of piracy at sea. 9th, joint efforts to maintain peace, security, and stability and order of East Asian region. East Asia Summit 2011 adopted the Declaration of East Asia Summit on the principles for mutually beneficial relations. In closing, regarding the Timor-Leste's ASEAN membership application, an agreement has been reached to establish the ASEAN Coordinating Council Working Group, also known as ACCWG, and to discuss it in a comprehensive manner. Indonesia has clearly communicated its full support for Timor-Leste's membership. And on Thailand's part, Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra reiterated Thailand's political stability, which would enable Thailand to play an active role in ASEAN. While reaffirming Thailand's commitment to relief and rapid recovery after floods, Thailand also stressed the importance for ASEAN to enhance cooperation in management of flood disasters and water resources. In this connection, ASEAN leaders adopted the statement on cooperation in flood prevention, mitigation, relief, recovery, and rehabilitation, which was proposed by Thailand. ASEAN member states expressed appreciation for Thailand's initiative on this important matter. In addition, Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra voiced support for ASEAN to play a more proactive role in the global community, pursuing a forward strategy to deal with global challenges more effectively on the economic aspect, given the fluctuation in global economy. Thailand viewed that ASEAN should rely more on growth from within, focusing on strengthening the economic integration and enhancing partnership with external partners. Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra also used this opportunity to seek ASEAN support for Thailand's UNSC candidature for 2017 to 2018 and reaffirmed Thailand's support for Myanmar to assume ASEAN chairmanship in 2014. Also was being established at the 19th ASEAN Summit in Bali is that ASEAN leaders have approved Myanmar the chairmanship of 2014. As the leaders of ASEAN have received a recommendation by ASEAN foreign ministers have formally expressed a view and reached their consensus that this designates Myanmar as chair of ASEAN in 2014. ASEAN Secretary General Surin Pissowan said that most of the ASEAN member states are quite satisfied with the trend and the evolution and the momentum of change of opening up which is going on in Myanmar. Other important key players, the European Union, Japan, the United States, and the UN are also quite satisfied with the new trend in Myanmar. But what they don't want is a reversal of the process. What they want is even more momentum in that positive direction. The ASEAN foreign ministers also agree on the need to conduct research and deliver recommendation on the roadmap of the plan to implement ASEAN Common Visa. The foreign ministers of ASEAN agree to the need to conduct research and deliver recommendation on the roadmap of the plan to implement ASEAN Common Visa. But the discussion is not over yet. There are still two countries that have unsettled issues, but it has been agreed to have a roadmap so that in the future, the deliberation plan will be more integrated with related sectors. The plan to implement on a common visa has to take more aspects into consideration, among the things related to security and financial considerations. With a common visa, a third country wishing to visit an ASEAN member country can use a single visa. Also, with the UN, ASEAN UN have been committed to create a better future of the people in the world with a focus on women and children. And ASEAN has set up the ASEAN Institute for Peace and Reconciliation, also known as AIPR, and the adoption of a Declaration of Conduct, or DOC, with regard to the handling of the South China Sea disputes. Relations among ASEAN member countries were also marked by greater peace and stability. Among the achievements ASEAN has made in ensuring regional peace and stability was the setting up of the ASEAN Institute for Peace and Reconciliation, or AIPR, and the adoption of a Declaration of Conduct with regard to the handling of the South China Sea disputes. ASEAN meetings this year also resulted in a better organized ASEAN summit and the adoption of the Bali Concord III at the high-level meeting. Furthermore, Marty Natalegawa, Indonesian foreign minister, said that ASEAN would never allow itself to be an arena for competition among the big powers. ASEAN also has adopted regulations and commitments jointly agreed on by its members. Marty said that ASEAN now at least already has a clear-cut scenario, referring to the resolution issued by ASEAN on the settlement of the South China Sea disputes, including a code of ethics to be observed by countries concerned. In short, he denied that ASEAN was reluctant to endorse Philippine proposal that ASEAN should face China as one man in the South China Sea disputes. On security matters, the U.S. and ASEAN countries aligned to effectively pressure China on their claim to hold indisputable sovereignty over the South China Sea. 16 of the 18 nations spoke out on the question of territorial rights, putting China on the defensive. When it came for his turn to speak, Chinese Premier Wen Jiabao appeared to acknowledge the concerns of ASEAN countries. Indeed, it was more telling that he did not rule out multilateral negotiations, as China has done previously. And this concludes the wrap-up of the 19th ASEAN and East Asia Summit. We will see you next year in Cambodia.